Ancient Athenaeum presents The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. A deep investigative study. When The War of the Worlds appeared in 1898, H.G. Wells was no longer an obscure experimenter. The Time Machine had announced him. The Island of Dr. Moreau and The Invisible Man had confirmed his method. Scientific premise, moral destabilization, no comforting exit. But the War of the Worlds was different. It was not a thought experiment held at arm's length. It was an invasion, intimate, immediate, and terrifyingly close to home. Wells did not set this story in a distant future or an invented land. He placed it in contemporary England, among real towns, real railways, real social reflexes. Woking, Horsell Common, London. The choice was deliberate. Wells wanted no protective distance between the reader and catastrophe. The disaster begins not once upon a time, but now. The idea itself grew from several converging pressures. Astronomical speculation had recently suggested canals on Mars, possible signs of intelligence. Imperial Britain, at the height of its confidence, assumed itself the pinnacle of civilization. And Wells, increasingly socialist and anti-imperialist, was preoccupied with a single inversion. What if England were colonized? The Martians arrive not as explorers or diplomats, but as refugees driven by planetary decline. Mars is cooling. Resources are failing. Evolution has stripped them of unnecessary organs. They are pure intellect and appetite. Huge heads, delicate tentacles, immense brains sustained by the blood of other creatures. Wells constructs them not as villains, but as logical outcomes of natural selection under pressure. They behave exactly as Britain behaves elsewhere. The opening cylinder lands quietly. Scientists gather. Curiosity precedes fear. Then comes the heat ray. Wells stages the first destruction with surgical precision. Sudden, absolute, incomprehensible. No warning, no negotiation. The age of gentlemanly warfare ends in a flash of invisible fire. What follows is not heroic resistance, but disintegration. The narrator is not a soldier or statesman. He is an ordinary man, educated, observant, powerless. Wells denies the reader the comfort of leadership. Governments collapse off stage. Armies are annihilated with mechanical efficiency. Human courage is irrelevant in the face of technological superiority. This was a deeply unsettling notion in an empire that equated moral worth with military dominance. The Martian tripods stride across the landscape like walking industrial plants. Part artillery, part factory, part organism. Their machines are not decorative. They are functional, cold, and optimized. Wells understood machinery intimately, and he writes these scenes with the detached horror of an engineer watching systems outperform humanity. London falls not with a scream, but with a silence. Refugees clog the roads. Social order collapses. The Thames fills with debris. The great metropolis, center of the world,
is reduced to abandonment. Wells lingers here, forcing readers to inhabit the unthinkable. England as a conquered land. Interwoven through the flight narrative are two distorted responses to catastrophe. The first is the artilleryman, who dreams of a new subterranean civilization, disciplined, selective, authoritarian. Survival through exclusion. The second is the curate, who collapses into religious hysteria, unable to reconcile divine order with extinction. Wells condemns neither with cruelty, but he makes their inadequacy unmistakable. Old frameworks, imperial, religious, romantic, do not survive the encounter. And then, abruptly, the Martians die. Not by heroism, not by strategy, but by bacteria. This ending is often misunderstood as anticlimax. In fact, it is the novel's final, devastating argument. The most advanced intelligence in the solar system is undone by microorganisms, entities so small they barely register as life. Evolution again proves indifferent. Power does not guarantee permanence. Survival is contingent, accidental, ecological. Wells closes the novel not with celebration, but with warning. Humanity has been humbled, not enlightened. The narrator fears that future invasions may come. The universe, once assumed empty and benign, is revealed as alert, watching, and potentially hostile. The War of the Worlds is not ultimately about Martians. It is about perspective. Wells forces his readers to experience themselves as the Tasmanians, the Africans, the indigenous peoples Britain had displaced, overwhelmed by superior technology and unexamined confidence. In doing so, he permanently altered science fiction. He stripped it of escapist fantasy and made it a tool for historical reversal. After Wells, the genre could no longer pretend the future was automatically kind, or that intelligence equaled morality. This was not a prophecy of alien invasion. It was a rehearsal for humility, and once humanity had been knocked from the center of the universe, Wells never put it back.